the same. And to talk to us now about that, the Public Information Officer for the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency, Kelly Richardson, joins us here on the show and also live on Supertalk TV. Go to supertalk.fm/watch to see her smiling, lovely face right here live. Oh, yeah, I'm starting out with the bragging, Kelly, so you know this is going to be a good one, right?
Yes, definitely. Now, you were talking some statistics, and I couldn't get them off the top of my head when we spoke last week, but we wanted to talk about how rare this event is. And you just laid out the facts, but the fact is that this is the first time in history dating back, let's say 40 years or so, that we've had our third named storm this early in the season. So this is definitely historical, no doubt about it. Thankfully, the impacts for us here in Mississippi will come to an end later tonight from Cristobal as it pushes off to the north, but definitely a historical event. And we've seen a lot of history and records being broken this year, that's for sure.
And we're just getting started, Kelly. That just isn't a good sign, is it?
No, it's not. And usually this early in the season, the water temperatures aren't quite as warm as they're going to be when we head into August and September. Right now, they're anywhere from 80 to 83 degrees. And really, if the waters were just a few degrees warmer and there wasn't quite as much dry air, we could have seen Cristobal strengthen even more. It really didn't strengthen too much as it tracked north through the Gulf of Mexico. Sustained winds held steady around 50 miles per hour as it made landfall yesterday. So there were some factors that kind of hindered the strengthening of the system, but regardless, it still brought high storm surge and a whole lot of rain to the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Now, the forecast has us with a chance of rain all the way through Wednesday. Is that the trailing effects of Cristobal behind it, or is that just the impact that it's having on the weather patterns as it passes through and stirring things up, basically?
Yeah, so actually there's going to be a secondary system. There's this upper level trough that's off to our west, and that's going to somewhat pick up Cristobal, track it off to the north in Canada, but that system that's out to our west right now is going to bring a cold front through as we head into tomorrow and Wednesday, and that's when we're going to see the chance for some more storms and showers, and then by the second half of the week, finally, sunshine returns, and it's going to be beautiful.
You are just one ray of sunshine after another. Now, let me ask you, with this cold front coming through, with the experience we've had over the last month or two, are we going to have a chance for some severe weather off of this?
There's a very low risk at this time. I do have a feeling it could be upgraded, but as of right now, the Storm Prediction Center just has far north Mississippi in that marginal level 1 risk for a few isolated storms, but definitely possible. And I didn't mention this earlier, but today we still have the risk mainly east of I-55 associated with Cristobal, the chance for a few weak spin-up tornadoes.
And, of course, that's playing off of that northeast quadrant of the storm, which I think we're all familiar with by now. That's where the worst of the weather usually is and the most energy involved in these storms. So as it tracks up along the Mississippi River, that's where it's going to spit out at. Where is the center of the storm right now?
Right now, the latest update from the National Hurricane Center had the center of the storm located northeastern Louisiana, about 15 miles or so east of Monroe. It's picked up speed. It's now moving northwest around 15 miles per hour, so that's a good thing. It's going to move out of here, should be out of our hair by the time we head into tomorrow.
Well, and that's been one thing about the timing of this storm is when we were talking at the end of last week, we were expecting to get the major impact from it last night and into this morning, including right now. And then it sped up, and we started getting some outer bands coming ashore and coming into Mississippi Saturday afternoon and Saturday night, it seemed like.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the beauty of tropical forecasting. Just a little bit of change in the larger synoptic patterns, the larger feature patterns that steer these tropical systems have big impacts on when and where we see the heavy rain, the storm surge, the strongest winds. So it's very tricky, this tropical forecasting. I really enjoy it. It's my favorite type of weather to forecast for.
You have a weird idea of fun, Kelly.
I know. I'm a nerd.
Okay.
I'm a weather nerd.
Okay. As long as you're aware of it and you own it, that's fine.
At least I own it. Yeah, I embrace it.
Yeah. As long as you embrace it, you own it, you're good. Now, I will say this. You said it could have been worse. What is the risk in people's minds that we've now had one come through, one of the earliest ones ever at the start of a very active season? This came through, and ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, not that big of a deal in some ways. What's the risk of people kind of relaxing as a result of that the next time we have one form in the Gulf, because their most recent memory is of this one, and they're like, oh, it's just a little wind and rain. It's no big deal. Is there a danger inherent in that?
There always is. When a storm, we kind of build it up a little bit and it's not quite as bad as we either forecast or whatnot, then people start to get a little bit lax. But I hope that everyone, especially Mississippians along the Gulf Coast, they know how this goes. They know how to deal with these tropical systems. And I think as long as we continue as forecasters and meteorologists to continue to educate and talk to people about these storms and let people know that you do have to take these things seriously, whether it's just a tropical storm or a Category 5 hurricane.
Well, it's kind of the old expression, plan for the worst, hope for the best, and you could get either one. Sometimes you can get both with one of these tropical systems when they come in, so we have to pay attention to it. But have you seen any estimates about how much total rainfall are we going to see out of this thing by the time it passes out?
As of right now, I was looking at rainfall estimates closer to the coast in the last 24 hours or so. Most spots along the coast have seen about 6 to 8 inches, some isolated higher spots, but there are still some of those feeder bands coming in off the coast around the broad area of circulation that's up in northeast Louisiana. So there's still the risk for some of these bands to position themselves and drop a whole lot of rain very quickly. So some spots across the coast and further inland as well could pick up an additional 3 to even isolated spots 5 inches of rain before the day is over with.
Wonderful. And just as a side question, a side note very quickly here, the Delta and the flooding that we have there, is this going to have a major impact on that, do you think?
I don't think a major impact. Still something that we're going to have to keep an eye on because Issaquah especially still underwater. They've been dealing with the backwater flooding for a very long time. So any little bit of rainfall can impact those areas. We'll just have to keep a very close eye on it.
Kelly Richardson, meteorologist and public information officer for Mississippi Emergency Management Agency and a self-professed tropical storm nerd. I like that. You need that on your business card. Tell Greg I said Put that on your business card.
Add it on my resume, all the above.
I'll sign off on it for you. It's no problem. Kelly, we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me.
Anytime. Kelly Richardson,